Have you ever noticed that the moment you stand up from the couch, your dog is instantly on their feet, eyes fixed on you, tail wagging in anticipation? Or perhaps you've experienced the peculiar sensation of walking to the bathroom, only to find your four-legged companion already waiting outside the door, as if they possess some form of canine telepathy. You might joke that your dog doesn't have a life outside of you, but there's actually profound science and evolutionary history behind this seemingly clingy behavior. Dogs follow us everywhere because they have been specifically shaped by thousands of years of coevolution with humans, creating a bond that mimics the attachment patterns we see in human parent-child relationships. This isn't just your dog being needy or lacking independence. It's actually a sophisticated behavioral system that reflects the deepest aspects of the human-canine relationship. The question of why dogs follow us everywhere touches on some of the most fascinating aspects of animal psychology, evolutionary biology, and a unique bond between two species that have shared the planet for millennia. To truly understand this behavior, we need to explore the concept of attachment theory, which was originally developed to explain the bond between human infants and their caregivers, but has since been applied to the relationship between dogs and their owners. This framework gives us incredible insight into what's actually happening in your dog's mind when they shadow your every move. In this comprehensive exploration, we're going to dig deep into the science behind your dog's constant presence, examining everything from evolutionary pressures that shape the canine mind to the specific neurological mechanisms that drive following behavior. We'll look at how dogs perceive their relationship with us, what they're actually thinking when they follow us from room to room, and whether this behavior represents a healthy attachment or something that might need adjustment. By the end of this deep dive, you'll have a completely new appreciation for what your dog's constant companionship actually means. The foundations of attachment theory. Understanding the original attachment theory. To understand why your dog follows you everywhere, we first need to travel back to the mid-20th century and explore the work of a British psychologist named John Bowlby. In the 1950s and 1960s, Bowlby developed what became known as attachment theory, a revolutionary framework for understanding the emotional bond between infants and their primary caregivers. Bowlby's work was groundbreaking because it proposed that the bond between a child and their caregiver wasn't just a byproduct of feeding or basic needs. It was a fundamental psychological system that served crucial evolutionary purposes. Bowlby observed that human infants have an innate behavioral system that drives them to seek proximity to their caregivers, particularly in times of distress or uncertainty. This proximity-seeking behavior isn't learned. It's hardwired into the human psyche because infants who stayed close to their caregivers were more likely to survive than those who wandered off. Over millions of years of human evolution, this attachment system became deeply embedded in our psychology, and it explains why human babies cry when separated from their mothers, why children become anxious in unfamiliar situations, and why adults often feel a deep sense of comfort when they're with people they love. The key insight from attachment theory is that this bond serves as a secure base from which individuals can explore the world. When humans feel securely attached to their caregivers, they develop the confidence to venture out, take risks, and learn new things. When that attachment is insecure or unstable, they may become anxious, clingy, or avoidant in their relationships. This fundamental principle, that proximity to a trusted figure provides security and enables exploration, became the foundation for understanding not just human relationships, but also the bond between dogs and their owners. Mary Ainsworth's contribution to understanding attachment. Building on Bowlby's work, Mary Ainsworth, a developmental psychologist who studied under Bowlby, conducted groundbreaking research in the 1970s that further refined our understanding of attachment. Through her famous strange situation experiments, Ainsworth identified different patterns of attachment that infants display with their caregivers. Some infants showed secure attachment. They became distressed when their mothers left, but were easily comforted when they returned. Others showed anxious, ambivalent attachment. They became extremely distressed upon separation, but simultaneously resisted comfort when the mother returned. Still others showed avoidant attachment. They showed little distress upon separation and avoided the mother upon return. These different attachment styles, Ainsworth proposed, weren't just random personality differences. They were shaped by the caregiver's responsiveness to the infant's needs. Sensitive, responsive caregiving produced secure attachment, while inconsistent or neglectful caregiving produced the various forms of insecure attachment. This finding had profound implications because it suggested that attachment patterns weren't simply innate. They were shaped by experience and could potentially be changed. What does all this have to do with dogs? In the early 2000s, researchers began applying these same principles to the canine-human bond. Studies showed that dogs, like human infants, form specific attachment styles with their owners that predict their behavior in various situations. Just as with human children, a dog's attachment style appears to be shaped by the quality of care they receive and the consistency of their owner's responsiveness. This research revealed that the bond between dogs and humans is far more psychologically complex than most people had assumed. It isn't simply a matter of dogs wanting food or protection, but rather involves genuine emotional bonds that parallel human attachment relationships. The evolutionary journey from wolf to dog. The transformation of the wolf. To understand why modern dogs follow us so faithfully, we need to travel back in time approximately 15 to 40,000 years, to the period when wolves and dogs diverged on the evolutionary tree. The exact timing and circumstances of this divergence remain subjects of scientific debate. But what is clear is that at some point in our shared history, a population of wolves began a remarkable transformation. These wolves didn't become domesticated through some deliberate breeding program. They essentially domesticated themselves, drawn to human settlements by the promise of food scraps, and eventually developing a mutually beneficial relationship with early humans. This self-domestication process was gradual and unfolded over hundreds of generations. Wolves that were less fearful of humans and more tolerant of our presence began scavenger settlements on the fringes of human camps. Over time, these proto-dogs began to serve useful functions for human communities, alerting them to the approach of other animals or unfamiliar humans, helping with hunting, and eventually providing companionship. In return, humans provided a reliable food source and protection from the elements. This mutualistic relationship created powerful evolutionary pressures that shaped both species, but the changes in dogs were particularly dramatic. One of the most significant changes involved the dog's social cognition, their ability to understand and respond to human behavior. Researchers have found that dogs developed unique abilities to read human gestures, follow human eye movements, and interpret human emotional states, abilities that wolves simply don't possess to the same degree. Dogs also became more tolerant of close proximity to humans and developed what researchers call hypersociability, a genetic predisposition towards seeking out human companionship. These changes weren't incidental. They were precisely the adaptations that would make dogs likely to follow their human companions everywhere, forming the behavioral foundation for the constant presence we see in our modern pets. The selection pressures that shaped following behavior. When we think about evolution, we often imagine physical changes, the ways that animal bodies adapt to their environments over time. But evolution also shapes behavior, and in the case of dogs, the behavioral changes were just as important as the physical ones. The ancestors of modern dogs that were most successful at living alongside humans were those that showed certain key behaviors. They were attentive to human signals. They stayed close to human groups rather than wandering off, and they formed strong emotional bond with their human companions. Over thousands of generations, these behavioral tendencies were reinforced through natural selection, creating dogs that are psychologically predisposed to form close attachments to humans. This evolutionary history explains why modern dogs seem almost designed to follow us around. Their ancestors survived by staying near human groups, and those that followed most attentively were more likely to receive food, protection, and opportunities to reproduce. The dogs that didn't follow, those that maintained more wolf-like independence, were less likely to thrive in the human environment and eventually died out or remained wild. What we have today, after millennia of this selection process, are dogs whose very psychology has been shaped to seek proximity to humans. Following behavior isn't an accident or a quirk. It's the product of an evolutionary process that selected for exactly this kind of bond. Interestingly, this evolutionary pressure may have worked in tandem with human preferences. Early humans likely preferred dogs that stayed close and were easy to manage, unconsciously selecting for the following behavior through their own choices about which dogs to feed and protect. This created a feedback loop. Dogs that followed were rewarded with food and shelter, making them more likely to survive and reproduce, which in turn reinforced the following tendency in subsequent generations. The result, after countless generations, is the dog that follows you to every room in your house. A dog whose very psychology has been shaped by thousands of years of coevolution with your species. Understanding different types of following behavior. The healthy follower. Not all following behavior is created equal. Some dogs follow their owners in a calm, relaxed manner that reflects a secure attachment. A dog who wants to be near you, but can also settle contentedly when you sit down, who doesn't become anxious when you leave the room briefly, and who greets you with moderate rather than frantic enthusiasm. This type of following is healthy and reflects a well-adjusted dog-owner relationship. The dog sees their owner as a secure base, a source of comfort and safety, but also has the confidence to relax independently when appropriate. A healthy follower typically shows what researchers call contact maintenance behavior. They want to be near you, but are comfortable at a slight distance, often settling within a few feet of wherever you are. They can be left alone without becoming destructively anxious, and they show a reasonable interest in their environment, even when their owner is present. This balance pattern indicates that the dog has formed a secure attachment, one that provides emotional security without becoming clingy or dependent. If your dog shows this pattern, you can take it as a sign that your relationship is working well and that your dog trusts you as their person. The healthy follower also responds appropriately to cues from their owner. If you tell your dog to stay, they can do so. If you leave the room briefly, they don't become panicked. If you engage with them, they respond enthusiastically, but they can also entertain themselves when you're busy. This flexibility is the hallmark of secure attachment in dogs. It indicates that the dog has confidence in the relationship, but isn't overly dependent on constant reassurance. Your dog follows you because they want to, not because they can't cope without you. The anxious follower. On the other end of the spectrum is the anxious follower, a dog whose following behavior seems driven more by fear and insecurity than by comfortable affection. These dogs may follow their owners constantly, becoming visibly distressed if they lose sight of even for a moment. They may pace restlessly when their owner sits down, whine or bark when their owner moves to another room, and show difficulty settling even in otherwise comfortable environments. This pattern reflects what attachment researchers would classify as anxious ambivalent or anxious preoccupied attachment. Anxious following often develops in dogs who have experienced inconsistency in their care. Perhaps they were rehomed multiple times, or their owner's attention and affection fluctuated unpredictably. It can also develop in dogs who were separated from their mothers too early, as puppies who don't receive adequate early nurturing may grow up with insecure attachment patterns. Some dogs also develop anxious following after a traumatic experience, such as being lost or abandoned. In all these cases, the following behavior serves a specific psychological function. It reduces the dog's anxiety by ensuring proximity to their primary attachment figure. If your dog shows signs of anxious following, it's important to recognize that this behavior comes from a place of genuine emotional need rather than simple stubbornness or desire for attention. These dogs aren't trying to be difficult. They're responding to deep-seated anxiety that makes separation feel genuinely threatening. Helping an anxious follower requires building their confidence through consistent, predictable care, positive reinforcement for calm behavior, and in some cases, professional behavioral intervention. Understanding that your dog's clinginess comes from insecurity rather than willful behavior is the first step toward addressing it compassionately. The independent dog. It's worth noting that not all dogs follow their owners everywhere. Some breeds and individual dogs are notably more independent, preferring to maintain some distance from their owners even when they are affectionate. This independence isn't necessarily a sign of a poor relationship. It may simply reflect the dog's temperament or breed background. Certain breeds, particularly those developed for work that require them to operate at a distance from humans, tend to be more independent than others. Hounds, for example, were often selected for their ability to follow scent or visual trails independently, and they may show less following behavior than breeds developed for close collaboration with humans. Independent dogs can form deep bonds with their owners while still maintaining a degree of personal space. They may greet their owners enthusiastically, but then go off to investigate something interesting or settle in their own favorite spot. They may follow occasionally, but don't seem to feel the need to be constantly adjacent to their owner. This pattern isn't necessarily problematic. It's simply a different expression of the dog-owner bond. The key is to understand your individual dog's needs and preferences rather than expecting all dogs to behave the same way. That said, a sudden change from following to independence can sometimes signal a problem. If your previously clingy dog suddenly stops following you, or if your independent dog begins shadowing you obsessively, it may indicate a medical issue or an emotional problem that warrants attention. Dogs communicate through behavior, and changes in their typical patterns can be important signals about their physical or emotional state. The meaning behind the following. What your dog is actually thinking. When your dog follows you from room to room, they're not simply being annoying or seeking attention in the way we might interpret a human child's clinginess. They're engaging in behavior that is deeply programmed into their psychology, behavior that served crucial survival functions throughout their evolutionary history. Your dog follows you because, at a fundamental level, being near you feels right to them. Your presence provides safety, comfort, and a sense of security that your dog literally cannot find anywhere else. But there's more to it than simple security. Research suggests that dogs experience something like love for their owners, not the romantic or familial love that humans feel, but a form of emotional attachment that serves similar psychological functions. Your dog has chosen you as their person, their tribe, their everything. When they follow you, they're expressing that choice in the only way they know how. Every time your dog follows you to the kitchen, the bathroom, or simply across the living room, they're reaffirming the bond that defines their emotional world. It's also worth considering what your dog gets out of following that goes beyond basic security. Dogs are intensely social animals, and for them, interaction with their owner is inherently rewarding. It's not just about food or treats, though those don't hurt. Simply being in your presence activates your dog's reward centers in much the same way that social interaction rewards human brains. When your dog follows you, they're seeking not just proximity, but interaction, engagement, participation in your life. They want to be where you are because your presence makes their world better. The communication of needs. Sometimes, following behavior serves a more practical purpose. Your dog is trying to communicate a need. Dogs don't have words, so they use behavior to send messages. If your dog follows you and then stops to look at something, a toy, the door, their food bowl, they may be trying to tell you that they want to play, go outside, or eat. If they follow you and then lean against your legs or paw at you, they may be seeking affection or attention. Understanding your dog's following behavior as a form of communication can help you respond to their actual needs rather than simply the behavior itself. This communication function of following is particularly important because it represents your dog's attempt to engage with you, to include you in their world. When your dog follows you and then looks at the door, they're saying, "I want to go out. Will you come with me?" When they follow you to the kitchen and then look at their food bowl, they're saying, "It's almost dinner time, right?" These communications reflect the sophisticated social cognition that dogs have developed through their close association with humans. Cognition that allows them to understand that their owner can help satisfy their needs, and that following is an effective way to initiate that help. The key for dog owners is to learn to read these communications. Every dog has their own unique way of expressing needs, shaped by their personality and your shared history. Some dogs are obvious. They stop following and stare pointedly at what they want. Others are more subtle, a slight shift in direction, a particular whine, a change in posture. Over time, most owners learn to read their dog's signals intuitively, understanding what their dog is trying to tell them through their following behavior. This communication is one of the many ways that dogs and humans have developed a shared language through thousands of years of living together. When following becomes problematic, recognizing problematic attachment. While moderate following is a normal and healthy expression of the dog-owner bond, there are cases where following behavior crosses into problematic territory. Problematic following typically involves anxiety-driven behavior that significantly impacts the dog's quality of life, and potentially the owner's life as well. Signs that following has become problematic include inability to be alone without extreme distress, constant need for physical contact or proximity, inability to settle even in comfortable environments when the owner is present, and severe anxiety responses to ordinary separations like bathroom breaks or leaving for work. Problematic attachment can manifest in several ways. Some dogs develop what behavioral scientists call clinging behavior. They must be in physical contact with their owner at all times, leaning against legs, sitting on feet, or insisting on being held. Others develop shadowing behavior, following so closely that they literally trip their owners, can't be in a different room even for a moment, and become distressed at any distance. Still others show separation anxiety so severe that they destroy property, bark incessantly, or injure themselves when left alone. Any of these patterns can indicate an attachment problem that warrants attention. It's important to distinguish between normal following and problematic attachment. Every dog is different, and what seems excessive to one owner may be perfectly normal for another. The key indicators of problematic attachment are typically the dog's distress level and the degree to which the behavior interferes with normal functioning. A dog who follows you happily and can settle when you sit down is not showing problematic attachment. A dog who follows you in a state of visible anxiety, cannot be comforted, and falls apart when you leave, even briefly, may be showing problematic attachment that needs to be addressed. Causes of problematic attachment. Problematic attachment in dogs can develop for various reasons, and understanding the cause is crucial for effective treatment. One common cause is early separation from the mother. Puppies who are taken from their mothers before 8 weeks of age may not develop proper social skills and may be more prone to anxious attachment. Another common cause is inconsistent care, such as frequent rehoming or owners whose attention and affection fluctuate unpredictably. Dogs thrive on consistency, and when their social world is unpredictable, they may develop anxious attachment patterns. Traumatic experiences can also trigger problematic attachment. Dogs who have been abandoned, lost, or experienced other traumatic separations may develop intense fear of abandonment that manifests as clingy following behavior. Even positive changes, like being rescued from a shelter and adopted into a loving home, can trigger anxiety in dogs who have learned that attachments can be broken. These dogs may be particularly prone to following because they've learned that their attachment figure can disappear at any time. In some cases, problematic attachment develops gradually from otherwise healthy attachment. This often happens when owners inadvertently reinforce following behavior through attention. Even negative attention, like scolding, can be rewarding to an anxious dog who just wants interaction. Over time, the following behavior can escalate until it becomes problematic. Understanding the causes of your dog's attachment issues is the first step toward addressing them in a way that strengthens rather than damages your bond. Building a healthier attachment. The foundation of secure attachment. Whether your dog shows healthy following or anxious attachment, you can shape their attachment style through the quality of your interactions. The foundation of secure attachment is consistency and responsiveness. Being there for your dog in predictable ways, meeting their needs reliably, and providing a stable emotional base from which they can explore the world. Dogs with secure attachment have owners they can trust to be available when needed, which reduces anxiety and allows them to develop confidence in their relationship. Building secure attachment starts with meeting your dog's basic needs reliably. Regular feeding, predictable exercise schedules, consistent rules and boundaries, and reliable attention all contribute to a sense of security. But it's not just about routine. It's also about emotional responsiveness. Dogs with secure attachment have owners who notice and respond to their emotional states, who provide comfort when needed and celebrate when things go well. This doesn't mean spoiling your dog or never saying no. It means being emotionally attuned to your dog's needs and responding appropriately. One of the most important things you can do for your dog's attachment security is to make sure their experiences with you are overwhelmingly positive. This doesn't mean every interaction has to be a party. Your dog needs to learn that rules and boundaries are okay, that sometimes they won't get what they want, and that life goes on even when things don't go their way. But the overall balance should tip toward positive. More treats and praise than scolding, more fun than frustration, more security than anxiety. When your dog trusts that your relationship is fundamentally good, they develop the confidence that characterizes secure attachment. Practical strategies for managing following behavior. If your dog follows you excessively and you'd like to encourage more independent behavior, there are practical strategies that can help. The first is to teach your dog that being alone is okay. This means starting with very brief separations, stepping out of the room for just a few seconds and returning before your dog becomes distressed, and gradually building up to longer periods. The goal is to teach your dog that you always come back, that separation isn't permanent, and that they can cope without constant proximity. Creating positive associations with time alone is another powerful strategy. This means giving your dog special treats or puzzle toys that they only get when you're about to leave. Over time, your dog learns that your departure predicts good things, a special treat, an enjoyable activity, which reduces rather than increases their anxiety. Some owners find that leaving a piece of clothing with their scent can be calming for anxious dogs, providing comfort even in the owner's absence. It's also important to provide mental and physical stimulation. Dogs who are bored or underexercised may follow more because they have nothing else to do or because they're seeking entertainment from their owner. Ensuring your dog has adequate exercise, engaging toys, and interesting things to do around the house can reduce attention-seeking following behavior. A tired dog is a calm dog, and dogs who are mentally stimulated are less likely to become anxious about their owner's whereabouts. When to seek professional help. If your dog's following behavior is extreme, if it's causing significant distress to your dog, or if you've tried the strategies above without success, it may be time to seek professional help. A certified applied animal behaviorist or a veterinary behaviorist can assess your dog's specific situation and develop a tailored treatment plan. In some cases, medication may be appropriate to help manage severe anxiety while behavioral modification takes effect. There's no shame in seeking help. Sometimes an outside perspective and professional expertise can make a huge difference in your dog's quality of life. Professional help is particularly important if your dog's following behavior is accompanied by other signs of distress, such as destructive behavior when left alone, excessive barking or howling, house soiling despite being house-trained, self-injury, or other compulsive behaviors. These can be signs of more serious anxiety disorders that may require specialized treatment. Early intervention is usually more effective than waiting to see if problems resolve on their own, so don't hesitate to reach out if you're concerned. Remember that seeking help isn't a reflection on you as an owner. It's a sign that you care about your dog's well-being and want to give them the best life possible. Many dogs with attachment issues go on to lead happy, relaxed lives with appropriate intervention. The fact that you're reading this and trying to understand your dog's behavior suggests you're already on the right track. The deeper meaning of the bond. What your dog's following really means. When we strip away all the science and look at the simplest truth, what does it mean that your dog follows you everywhere? It means that you are their world. In the confined universe of a dog's experience, you represent safety, comfort, excitement, food, play, love, everything that makes life good. When your dog follows you, they're expressing their choice to be with you, their trust that you will meet their needs, and their desire to share in your life. This is not a small thing. This is a profound statement of trust and affection from another creature. Dogs have been shaped by thousands of years of evolution to form this bond with us. They're the only animals that have been so thoroughly transformed by their relationship with humans that they have become in many ways, a different kind of being from their wolf ancestors. They have lost the ability to survive without us. They cannot fend for themselves in the wild. They cannot thrive in social structures that don't include humans. In return, we have given them a place in our homes, our families, and our hearts. The following behavior is a constant reminder of this extraordinary partnership between species. Every time your dog follows you, they're choosing you. Not because they have to, not because you're holding a treat, but because being with you is what they want more than anything else. In a world where so many relationships are complicated and conditional, there's something profound about the simplicity of a dog's devotion. Your dog follows you because you are their person, and in their eyes, there's no one else quite like you. Learning from our dogs. Perhaps the greatest gift that our dogs give us is the reminder of what it means to love simply and completely. Dogs don't worry about tomorrow, hold grudges from yesterday, or complicate their feelings with conditional calculations. They love us fully, joyfully, and without reservation. When they follow us, they're expressing a kind of love that many of us spend our whole lives trying to recapture. The love that is simply about being together, about proximity, about the comfort of knowing that someone is there. We can learn from our dogs about what it means to be present. They don't dwell on the past or anxious about the future. They are here, now, with us. When your dog follows you to the kitchen, they're not thinking about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. They're just here, with you, in this moment. This presence, this simple gift of attention, is something that humans often struggle to achieve. Our dogs teach us by example how to be fully where we are, and their following behavior is a constant invitation to join them in the present. There's also something to be said for the loyalty that following represents. Our dogs have chosen us, and they stick with us through everything. Through our good days and bad days, our busy times and lazy Sundays, our moments of patience and our moments of frustration. They don't judge us, hold our past mistakes against us, or abandon us when things get hard. They simply follow, day after day, offering their companionship as a gift that never stops giving. In following us everywhere, our dogs teach us about constancy, devotion, and the purest forms of love. Conclusion: the gift of constant companionship. As we come to the end of this exploration, let's return to the simple question with which we began. Why does your dog follow you everywhere? The answer we've discovered is beautifully complex. Your dog follows you because of thousands of years of evolution that shaped their psychology to seek proximity to humans. They follow you because their brain is literally wired to experience your presence as rewarding, your return as relieving, your companionship as essential. They follow you because they have formed an attachment bond with you that mirrors the attachments human infants form with their caregivers, a bond built on trust, security, and the comfort of knowing that someone is there. But beyond all the science, beyond all the evolutionary history and neurological mechanisms, your dog follows you because they love you. This isn't anthropomorphism or sentimentality. It's the simple truth that dogs are capable of deep emotional bonds, and those bonds express themselves through following behavior. Every step your dog takes behind you is a statement. You are my person. I trust you. I want to be with you. In a world that can feel complicated and uncertain, there's something profound in the simplicity of that devotion. So the next time your dog follows you to the bathroom, or trots faithfully behind you as you move from room to room, or waits expectantly at your feet no matter what you're doing, try to see it not as clinginess but as connection. Your dog has chosen you as their everything, and they're reminding you of that choice with every step they take. That's not a problem to be solved. It's a gift to be cherished. The ancient bond between dogs and humans is one of the most remarkable partnerships in the natural world. And every time your dog follows you, that partnership is reaffirmed. Be grateful for it. Nurture it. And remember, in following you everywhere, your dog is telling you that you are loved.